the money behind the protests. We talked a little bit with Anna Paulina Luna about this just yesterday. There's a lot of money, okay? There's a lot of money that makes all this happen. Think about this, right? The Party for Socialism and Liberation. Do you know that this is actually the Communist Party? I kid you not. I kid you not. Okay, here we go. This is from Wikipedia. This thing is the Communist Party. Communism, Marxism, Leninism. It is far left, all right? This is the party that's having a hand in organizing these protests. And there's a guy who's an American named Neville Singman who was pointed out by the New York Times back in 2023 of being basically the chief propagandist all over the world for China. This is the New York Times reporter saying this. I mean, 3 New York Times reporters. They did a giant deep dive on him, and he's married to the lady who started Code Pink, and Code Pink used to be anti-China because of the way the Uyghurs are treated in China. And then all of a sudden, she meets Neville, the looker that he is. They fall in love, and what do you know? Millions of dollars start going to Code Pink, and suddenly, miraculously, she changes her tune on the Uyghurs and on China. China's great now. China's awesome now, right? Because they get a mission to do. This is what he does. And he spends like part of the year in Shanghai, according to the New York Times. And according to the Daily Beast, by the way. Like, liberal media is all over this, okay? They know that this guy is out there. And it's like, wow, like, is anybody stopping to think twice about who would like to see us at odds with each other? I mean, think about those Hong Kong protests. Remember that? They blamed us for that. They totally blamed us for that. They probably blame us for Tiananmen Square as well, okay? So they're saying, well, how can we get at them? Well, we got a ripe liberal population there in California. They know all about California. I mean, hey, Swalwell, Fang. He's a representative from California. Dianne Feinstein. Remember her driver was a Chinese spy. She's out of California. Listen, they've been infiltrating this for years, okay? So if they're going to think through, okay, where is our opportune spot? It might just be in California. And so they've encouraged these protests. And what I would say is, hang on. Okay, so this guy's getting tax breaks to put money into this communist movement that's doing all kinds of bad stuff in terms of dividing our country. Now, while on the one hand, we're all for the First Amendment, you're welcome to support whatever cause you want. On the other, if you're actually working for the Chinese government, well, then I think we got to take a little pause, right? Hey, thank you so much from Australia. I got a lot of friends in Australia. I know, Soros as well, Adriano. It's amazing. Like, the money behind this is actually really scary. And we're going to get to the Waltons too, because the heiress for Walmart, and I suspect maybe she's got some business interests, right? They got to keep trade flowing with China. They don't really like the tariffs because that means profitability is going to be lower at Walmart. Anyway, I would just say this is in particular striking to me, because this is somebody who feels very passionately, apparently, about his communist ties. He's got a wife who must not be that passionate because she's willing to change her tune, right? Code Pink is anti-China and then suddenly sings a different tune when they get a few bucks in the door. This is something that came up with Anna Paulina Luna yesterday. She told me she is issuing a subpoena for Neville Singman to appear before the U.S. Congress and testify on this. Now, the challenge she's going to have, to be perfectly honest, is he's hiding out in China. So maybe the issue, and she got into this, is if he doesn't actually show up, they're going to hold him in contempt, so you can go to jail for that. Hey, Peter Navarro knows that. Steve Bannon knows that. So if you're not actually going to show up for that subpoena, the next time he tries to enter the country, he's going to get thrown in the slammer. Here's Anna talking about this, the Congresswoman on the House Oversight Committee out of Florida.
We now find the money trail. Mr. Singham has actually been funding this, but it's a lot darker than that. So Mr. Singham's also married to a woman who actually funds something called Code Pink that's been responsible for a lot of the doxing and then also stalking of members up here in Washington, D.C. But look at the messaging that Code Pink is pushing, also tied to the CCP. And ultimately, what's interesting about this and going into the investigations that we're launching, because I did speak to Chairman Comer on House Oversight, and Oversight's going to be sending a request to Mr. Singham to produce documents and then also to testify to Congress. If he does not show up, he will be held in contempt of Congress. I can promise you that. And he will be prosecuted under the Department of Justice. But the fact is that Mr. Singham, he also happens to live in Shanghai part of the year. And he is also not a registered foreign agent, yet receives money from China. So that would be A, making him guilty of a FARA violation, and then also two, an agent of China. And so these are all things that Congress should have done a while ago, not just with Mr. Singham, but other organizations tied to foreign influence, especially being that some of them, like Code Pink, operate here actually within the Capitol.
Wow. So I just want to add to that Senator Josh Hawley has just come out as well and said that the Senate will be investigating this in addition to the investigation that Anna Paulina Luna is taking on at House Oversight Committee. So that's the good news. The bad news is this stuff was going on and on and on, for years. And you guys are pointing out it's not just this guy. But what's of special interest to me, and, Soros is kind of his own animal, and we can debate his reasons for doing things. But in this particular case, it's the ties to China that really concern me. Okay, if you have the CCP actually backing this and giving him money, and that's what these allegations are. He's got a business that he earns money off of sowing this discord and pushing this propaganda, according to the New York Times and to the Daily Beast. And so if that's the case, then we do have a bit of a situation, as you could say, on our hands. I just want to blow this up so we can look at it a little bit better together. This is the New York Times article. They're saying, he's a charismatic American millionaire, Neville Royce Singman. He's known as a socialist benefactor of far-left causes. But what's less known is a hidden group of nonprofits that he's got, or shell companies, and that he works closely with the Chinese government media machine and is financing its propaganda worldwide. I mean, that's what really blows me away. Like, how can that be happening? You've got, we told you about Code Pink, and they suddenly, changed their tune because they're suddenly getting financed by her husband. And if he's the key agitator in all this and it's coming from China, then whoa, right? Like, come on, Gavin, work with the president. Let the president help you to police your streets, because this is actually not Trump that you need to be angry at right now, but you need to be angry at the Chinese influence that's trying to infiltrate your state of California and tear everyone apart. That's the truth of it. But, they're just so political. They're looking at this as a political opportunity. Gavin Newsom thinks he's going to run in 2028 against, he's already taking aim at Vance. He'll take aim at anyone because we don't know who the 28 nominee is going to be. But I'm just telling you, let me be really, really clear. He's seeing it for political purposes, and the Chinese are too. So we need to be 5 steps ahead of them. We need to be smarter. I'll tell you, who's no dummy. the heiress to Walmart. I mean, this woman owns 1.9% of the company. So she's all about this no kings thing, you see, because she doesn't like the tariffs. And as long as Trump is in office, it's going to be kind of a problem for the Walmart company, right? Because they import so many goods from China. So this whole no kings thing is happening, and it's going on the 14th. Well, she decided, this is her, what is her name? Christy. Okay, so she's not actually direct family member. She is the wife or the widow of John Walton, who was the son of the Walmart founder, of course, Sam Walton. And so she's the one who went out. She has an estimated net worth of $19 billion. She owns a nearly 2% stake in the company. So she decided to get involved in all of this with this No Kings movement. And I'll tell you right now, the company's like, whoa, what did she do? Because this is not good for Walmart. They're freaking out because they know what happened to Target. You know what happened to Target. They know what happened to Bud Light. You know what happened to Bud Light. So now when you have the Walton family with a large, ownership in the Walmart stock coming out saying we need this No Kings Day thing, it is going to be a problem. So she took out the full page ad in the New York Times promoting this nationwide protest. The ad, which is run by the No Kings movement, calls on Americans to mobilize on Saturday, Flag Day, and Trump's birthday in order to, quote, reject authoritarianism. And, like he said, shall we go back to, what he said about, well, gee, if I were a king, I probably wouldn't be having this much headache now, would I, right? Hey.
several No Kings protests planned across the country on Saturday as well. What are your thoughts on those?
What do they go? No Kings?
No Kings.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. A king would say, I'm not going to get this. A king would have never had the California mandate to even be talking to him. He wouldn't have to call up Mike Johnson and Thune and say, fellas, you got to pull this off, and after years we get it done. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all. Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah, that's why court's in session right now, because he's not a king. But they're going forward with this anyway. And so back to Walmart, Christie decided that she's going to take a stand. And the question is it really for her company because she doesn't want him there? Probably, right? There's a 2% shareholder. Maybe she just doesn't like him anyway. And so this is kind of all working together. But the danger for Walmart shareholders is that you're going to see a big movement backwards. In other words, a lot of people that are very, very much MAGA, defined as MAGA and like this president, they shop at Walmart, but they don't have to shop at Walmart. They can shop elsewhere. You know what? They can shop on Amazon, for goodness sakes. I don't see Jeff Bezos doing these kinds of things. Actually, Jeff Bezos has really kind of tried to pull it in, rein it in, right? Here's the ad. And you know, it's caught a lot of attention in MAGA circles. Carrie Lake putting this out, just asking the question, do you shop at Walmart? And I can guarantee you what the answer is from people. They're like, not anymore. I used to shop at Walmart, but not anymore because I don't like what Walmart's doing. Because Walmart's heir, Christie, who is the widow of the man who founded its son, she took out this ad. So I think that there's a real shot. Already you're seeing all these things online. And we've been through this before. I mean, Disney has faced this, right? And Bud Light has faced this. And, you know, people put their money where their mouth is. And if they don't like a company because they don't think that their company is, you know, reflecting their values, then they're going to walk. And what do you know? Shares of Walmart, ladies and gentlemen, trading down 1.10%. WMT is the ticker at $94.78 a share right now. It had traded down even lower in the session today. So not a very good projection there for Walmart. And I think the fear is, you know what? Half the country voted for Donald Trump. More than half the country. He won the Electoral College. He won the popular vote. And so, you know what? You're going to go out there and you're going to slam him and you're going to slam people that like him. And those people aren't going to want to have a whole lot to do with you. And they're going to make a decision not to shop at your store. So maybe Christie gets this. I doubt she does. I think it's just shareholders and company executives that are probably in a state of panic right about now. You know, this king thing, I mean, they just, you know, he's trolled them on it, right? Didn't Letitia James go on and on about he's no king? This all started, and then so he tweeted something out where he had like a king hat on. And they just went crazy. Kathy Hochul, oh my gosh, went crazy. And so then this became kind of a movement. Caroline Leavitt, who is doing a phenomenal job as the press secretary, just calling everyone out left and right, was asked about whether or not there would be protests on Saturday allowed in D.C. And you know what? She's like, hello, we have a First Amendment. We allow for peaceful protests. What we don't allow for is some of the stuff you've been seeing in California, right? We don't allow for that because then that's tearing in a really dark corner. But of course, you can have peaceful protests, for goodness sakes. What a stupid question. That's what I'm thinking. And she said it.
Thanks so much, Caroline. The president warned that any protests on Saturday would be met with force. Can you clarify what kind of protest President Trump does support or find acceptable?
The president absolutely supports peaceful protests. He supports the First Amendment. He supports the right of Americans to make their voices heard. He does not support violence of any kind. He does not support assaulting law enforcement officers who are simply trying to do their job. It's very clear for the president what he supports and what he does not. Unfortunately for Democrats, that line has not been made clear, and they've allowed this unrest and this violence to continue, and the president has had to step in.
What question? So if there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that?
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel.
Thank you so much, Caroline.
Of course he supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. I said dumb question. She said stupid question. What a stupid question. So that's kind of gone viral. But you know what? She ought to be able to say exactly what she thinks up there. She's had all kinds of run-ins. Finally, they just got rid of AP. AP thought it had some kind of, talking about being a king, right? It's like your royalty if you're AP. AP thought it had the status and the stature and, I don't know, maybe the royal genes to be able to sit up there in the front row in the White House press briefing room at all times and travel on Air Force One and this, that, and the other. Trump and Caroline kicked him out. Guess what? Oh, and that was because of the Gulf of America thing. Remember, they refused to call it Gulf of America and instead kept going with Gulf of Mexico, and it became kind of this standoff. And they're like, you know what? We don't need you here. Bye-bye. And poor AP's like, no, you can't do that to us, you see, because we are Associated Press. It's like they're the king of England, for goodness sakes. And so the administration came back and said, no, we can absolutely, you're here at the pleasure of the president, and we don't really want you here. This has nothing to do with freedom of the press, because guess what? We broadcast these things out to everyone every single day. You can just go on the White House Twitter feed, you're going to get it, and we'll take all your questions. You can email us a question. Hey, you can even put one of your questions on X. We'll probably answer it. The president will talk to anyone. So guess what? You're not entitled to sit up there in the front row anymore, AP. You're not entitled to come on our Air Force One in the press pool. We're kicking you out. And the whole thing went up through the courts, and guess what? The court decided that the president did not have to have AP there. So take that, AP, no kings. There is no king AP or prince AP or princess AP. None whatsoever. We got some more good media stories to get to. Terry. Terry's out doing his whole new thing. I think he kind of wanted to go out with a bang. Apparently his contract was up anyway. We'll get to that. Ooh, Disney's in more trouble. But before I get to that, and everybody's looking alike at MSNBC. I think they're really nervous on ratings. They're like, we need clones of Rachel. Can somebody get me more Rachels? Fox has their thing with the blondes. They're like, we want more Rachel. I'm just going to tell you guys. I would pick the Fox route before I'd pick the Rachel. Right? Guys like to look at attractive women, and women actually like to look at attractive women. So I don't think replicating clones of Rachel Maddow is going to do it for you, but you do you. We're going to get into that. Meantime, Balance in Nature. Stay healthy, take your vitamins, get all the good stuff from Balance in Nature. I do. You can get 35% off with my coupon code TRISH. One of the proud sponsors of the Trish Regan Show, and we love them for all their support. You can call Trish, you can call them, and use my name, code Trish, at 1-800-246-8751, 1-800-246-8751. They get all kinds of great stuff, thousands of testimonials actually on their website. So you should check that out. They have 35% off with my code. They have free shipping with my code, and you know what else they have? Money back guarantee with the code. So use the code, go to balanceinnature.com, check them out, or just call them 1-800-246-8751. Great product. And I'm not the only one who says it. People love this stuff. So stay healthy. Drink your water, get your exercise, eat right, and take your Balance in Nature.